graduation, so he's going to be presenting to you on Freedom 40. I thought it was Freedom 65 or Freedom 55. I don't know. I like 40 better. That sounds good. I'll jump on that train all day. So let's put it together for Nelson Camp, everybody.
All right. So let me just plug in here. Somebody said, well, Nelson, what if I'm already over 40? That's okay. You can call it freedom whatever you wanted. I just didn't know how many more F words I could fit in the title. So we called it Freedom 40. Oh, that's kind of a strange color, but that's okay. So my name is Nelson Camp. Many of you I've known for years. Many of you are friends. Many of you are students. Many of you are new acquaintances. I consider you all my friends even if I don't know you yet. It just means we haven't become friends yet, and I look forward to connecting with each and every one of you. I tried before we started tonight to say hello to just about everybody. If I haven't, I'd love to connect with you a little bit later. I feel that in life we always have something to share with somebody. Somebody can give something, take something. That's the power of networking, getting to know people, helping other people. I find in life that the more you help other people, the more you get what you want out of life. Anybody else ever realize that? Yeah. It just works. And if you don't believe it, try it. It really does. I'm honored every time I get an opportunity to speak in front of a group like this. I'm always so honored. There's so many like-minded people here. Some are in the game, some are wanting to be the game, some are wannabes, some are gonna-bees. You know what? We're all here at a different place. It's not a place of competition, it's a place of cooperation. Let's hear two clap if you believe in cooperation. All right, because that's how deals are made, is working together, helping one another. And that's what team-made real estate is all about. I recently spoke at the Winnipeg Real Estate Investors Conference. I was hoping to see my friend Dan there. And how many people think Dan is an awesome guy? Seriously. I've known him, I don't know, must be at least 5 or 6 years. Hey, Dan? And he was a hero then, and he's still a hero now. Getting into luxury flips, that takes a lot of courage, because those are big projects and people are going through those homes with a fine-tooth comb when it's time to sell, the carrying costs. But he's a smart guy. Dan knows what he's doing, and he knows the numbers. And how many know it's all about numbers when you're trying to make a profit in real estate? It really is. You have to disconnect yourself emotionally, look at the numbers, and have a system. So today I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit about a system of what I call Freedom 40. You can call it whatever you want. Somebody said, well, Nelson, why did you set a goal to retire? Well, because I had to set a goal. And one of my goals is I wanted to retire before I was 40, so I did. So now I'm not calling it retiring it anymore, and hopefully by the end of the presentation today you'll understand why. I'm calling it refire, because it's time to get back in the game, because I don't want to lay on the beach and do nothing. I'm not interested in that. I've got 3 kids, 7, 5, and I think I got a picture of them. 7, 5, and 2. This is team camp, and we win. And you know why we win? Because we take action. We do something. You can't win if you don't play the game. I guarantee you that. If you do nothing, you're going to get nothing 100% of the time. So don't do nothing. You may still have failures. My goodness, I was listening to Dan speak, and I'm like, oh, he's talking about chapter 2 in my book. Oh, wait, he's talking about chapter 1 in my book. So if you want to talk about mindset, it's chapter 6. If you want to talk about fear, that's chapter 7, and so on and so forth. So if you are looking for a book later, this is a book I wrote a couple of years ago called Money Tree. I'd been featured in Canadian Real Estate Wealth, I think about a dozen times now, and I'd won an award like Dan did a few years ago, and I put together a book so that I could kind of show people kind of the roadmap that I used when I got into real estate. So if you are looking for a resource, that's a great one. These are my 3 kids, and these are my 2 eldest. The one that looks a little funny on the right there, that's not because he is a little funny like that. That's because he's actually saying stinky feet. Because if you want a kid to smile for a picture, look at the camera, you have to tell him stinky feet. So he's in the feet part, right? So anyhow, all I do is win, because that's what I focus on, and I figure even a failure is a win because I learned something from it. A failure is not make you a failure. A failure means you learned something you didn't know yet. This year I made a $9,000 mistake. Who cares? It's just money. You make the money back. But I always learn, and has anybody ever noticed it's the most expensive mistakes that you really learn from? It really is. Try making a $40,000 mistake. I guarantee you will not do that a second time because you'll think, gosh, that was an expensive lesson to learn. And those just happen to be the ones you really remember, those mistakes. So these are my two eldest boys. We were at the Mercedes AMG event. Anybody else go? I didn't see anybody that's in the room here. But we looked at all the AMGs, and my two kids are running around wild everywhere. Seriously, I'm the only guy who brings kids, right? I don't care. They're part of my family. They're part of the team. You guys want them to buy a Mercedes one day? Let them play in the cars. So they're in $180,000 AMGs, slamming the doors and opening. Hey, Papa, look, the lights come on the side. I'm like, ooh, cool. So you've brought your children with you, I see. How nice, you know. I'm thinking it's too stuffy here for me. Pass the wine. I don't know. But we had a great time. Enough about me. This is another friend of mine, Scott McGilvery. He's a really cool guy. Anybody know Scott McGilvery here? I taught him everything he knows. He also talks a lot about the buy, fix, refinance. He calls it flipping to yourself. It's just another name for it. It's the same kind of deal. This is my book. If you do want a resource later, please get it. I am working on a second book. I told my wife I'm taking a week off. She said, what are you taking a week off of? I'm like, I guess just life. I'm checking out for a week. I'm going to head to a beach and finish my book. And she's like, no, you're not. Because we have this, right? So I got to come up with a plan B. I did have a plan A. I just didn't sell it well. Didn't Dan talk about the importance of being able to sell something? I really sold that poorly. If I would have started on a nice evening, maybe a nice ring or a necklace, and you know, we've got a nanny coming next week. Why do we have a nanny coming next? Well, you'll see. Anyhow. Here's the last article I was featured in Canadian Real Estate Wealth. How to retire in your 30s, what you need to do. So what I'm going to be talking about today is really putting a face on that, putting some numbers on it. My goal today is to motivate some of you. I'm trying to put an hour and 20 minutes worth of information in 35. So put your seatbelts on. If you have motion sickness, just puke, but stay for the rest of the presentation. It's really worth it. It is. Freedom is going to be defined as whatever you want to define it at. Freedom for me is not laying on the beach and drinking margaritas all day. How many people know that would get boring really fast, right? It's doing what you love and love what you do. That's kind of the goal in life anywhere. Dan talked about happiness. Everybody wants health, wealth, and happiness. If you got those three things in life, really, you're complete. Some people are still not sure what Freedom 40 is, and they want to live foolish 40 for the rest of their life. And I mean no insult when I say this, trust me. But many people don't understand and have lived in a life, and are caught in a life of complacency and will stay there in complacency. They don't understand that it doesn't have to operate that way. It doesn't have to be that way. They'll work for 40 years, 40 hours a week, and then hopefully get a pension of 40% of what they made before. You guys ever heard of COLA? Cost of living allowance? It may not be important to you because you guys, none of you are as old as me. But what COLA means is basically it's your cost of living allowance. So after you retire and you're getting a pension, your cost of living allowance means your pension goes up a little bit every year to try to keep up with inflation so that you make enough money to buy the milk that you bought when you first retired, right? Lots of people are giving that away like candy. Many companies. So, you know, the pension that many people are counting on having one day, they may not have. They may not have the lifestyle that they want, so they need to design it. And the best time to design your lifestyle for the way you want it is when? Now. It would have been actually 20 years ago, but since we're in today, now's the time to take action. Did you know the average person spends about 2,000 hours at their job? That's 5 days a week, 40 hours a week. 50 weeks, you get 2 paid weeks, you work for your weekends, you work for your holidays. And at the end of the day, depression is an all-time high in the world. And they say that by 2020, it's going to be the biggest cause of sickness and disease. Depression and stress. Now, you're going to say, Nelson, this is not refiring, this is depressing. Well, this is what we're getting at. I want to present to you an alternative to living that out. I will get to some of the numbers, those that are analytic, that really like numbers. I promise you there's numbers too. But first we have to figure out the why and get the motivation so that you take action. Once I have you convinced and motivated, then we can look at some of the numbers. We're going to talk about leverage a little bit, but not too much. Basically, leverage works not just with using somebody else's money. Leverage works with using somebody else's time, somebody else's expertise, somebody else's knowledge, somebody else's prior success, and using all of that to your advantage. Always in an ethical fashion, always in a partnership fashion, always in a team fashion, but using that to your advantage for your business. So, let me just ask you guys a question first. By show of hands here, I'm hiring. You want to work for me maybe. I'm giving you two options. Option one, I'll pay you $1,000 a day for the next 30 days. How many people say, I'll take it? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it?
What's the other option?
The other option is I pay you 1 penny on day 1. I pay you 2 cents on day 2, 4 cents on day 3, and I double what I pay you every day for 30 days. Okay, now there's 5 people. The rest of you are not involved yet. I'm doing something wrong here. I'm going to go over really quickly, and someone's saying, well, Nelson, where did you go with that? We're going to come back to that later. That's part of the strategic plan for tonight. But first I'm going to go over the 7 keys of wealth in real estate, because this is so essential, and people forget that real estate isn't just making money one way. You can make money from the north, the south, the east, the west, the northeast, the southeast, the northwest. Anyhow, from every different quadrant, money can be coming in from different ways. And people forget that. Scott McGilvery said at one point, I do lots of flips, and those are the ones that have produced the least for me. I said, what? Seriously? But I listen to mentors. How many other people know that when you have a mentor, you should listen to what they say? Do I do flips? Sure. Do I love them? Sure. It meets my need in my life to have an artistic outlet. It really does. I love seeing, I'll show you pictures of what I love seeing later, which most people can't stand, but then I see the after, which is great. So number 1, write them down quick, is natural appreciation. If you don't know what that is, that's the value of a house that will rise by itself. If you do absolutely nothing, it will increase in value. Somebody may say, well, next year it might lose money. Yeah, but eventually it will always rise and go up in value. Time has shown this. We can go back to ancient days as far as you want. Land and property always increases in value. The only exception might be with some rural communities that disappear. Other than that, real estate increases in value. So let's say I'm going to use an example of a $300,000 house all night. Okay? We've got a $300,000 house. This is one of my triplexes. I have many triplexes. Can you buy a triplex for $300,000 in Winnipeg? Yes. Are you getting a good deal? It depends, right? It depends. Let's just say $300,000 is a fair price. We're paying $100,000 a door. Let's say it grows at 5%. Could it grow at 5%? Good. My portfolio grew by 8.9 last year. 5% is reasonable. Let's say we're making $15,000 a year on that $300,000. For those of you who are like, where did you get that $15,000, Nelson? That's 5% of $300,000. When you buy a house, you don't just make money on the down payment you invested, you make money on the entire value of the house. You're leveraging the bank's money. I could take the same down payment. What's the down payment again on an investment of $300,000?
60 grand.
60 grand. I could take that same 60 grand and put it into a mutual fund and maybe make 10%. Would people be happy with a 10% return on their mutual fund in this room? Of course you would. You're not going to get 10%, but you'd make 6 grand. Is 6 grand going to change your lifestyle? No. I just made $15,000 while sleeping. Do I pay 6 grand? Do I pay tax on the 6,000 from a mutual fund?
Yep.
Yes, I do. Do I pay tax on this $15,000 I made in equity gains of natural appreciation? No. I put this into my wealth engine and I just turn the wheel. It's like a compost. You just put it in there and keep turning the wheel. You guys ever see that Dora when she's like, you turning the wheel? I always think, anyhow, no. I have kids, right? Dora. So it is tax-sheltered income. You are not paying any tax on that. That's my favorite type of income, folks. It really is. I don't have that in my pocket, but it's in a safe place in my building. Bricks and mortar, safe. Number 2. No, not number 2. Sorry. Here's the pictorial for those that are a little more visual. What does that look like? Well, it looks like a $300,000 house is worth $315 in year 2. It's worth $365 in year 5. It's worth $489 in year 10. By year 20, you're looking at almost $800,000. and by year 30, you're a millionaire. So if you do nothing except buy one house because you came out here tonight and got motivated to buy one house, even if you lose on the deal but you hold it long enough, you're going to win. You will. You're going to win. I guarantee you that. Even if you don't get the greatest deal, but you hold it, you will win eventually. Number 2, forced depreciation. This is the one that people think about all the time. It's the quickest, easiest, fastest way to make cash in your pocket, right? This is when we're doing a flip. You don't need to sell it though. You can keep it. You can buy it, fix it, refinance it. You can buy it, fix it, rent it. One thing I'll give you guys as a piece of advice, if you do buy and fix, instead of being your first step at refinancing, see if they'll refinance you on a credit line instead of on a mortgage. Anybody know why that is? I hear a little bit of mumbling, but I don't know if that's somebody passing gas or someone was answering. If you're paying a mortgage, part of the money of the mortgage goes towards principal and part of it goes towards interest, right? Which part is tax deductible? The interest. If you have a credit line and you draw money out of the credit line, is any of that principal? It's all interest. So it's all tax deductible. You keep more of your money instead of giving it to the government. How many people like that idea? I think that, what's the deficit at? 35? Oh, I had a Hillary Trump joke. The two of them and Donald, they walk into a bar. No, I'm not going to say it. I was supposed to do that at the beginning to start. No. Somebody's like, oh, I want to hear it now. So forced depreciation, this is an example of one kitchen we did. It was very functional, the first kitchen, but it wasn't beautiful. This is my artistic outlet. I like making things pretty. I like making things nice. I like seeing happy families. We sold this house in September after holding it for 2 years. It made us about $37,000 or $38,000 in 2 years of revenue, and then we sold it after that and doubled that. So we held it for 2 years and made $72,000. It was a flip, but it was kind of on a longer term, and we held it for a couple of years. How many people would like to do that? It's not hard. It's not complicated. We made the money all the way along, had the natural appreciation, had the forced appreciation, and then sold it at the end, put cash in our pockets. We were patient. It's okay to be patient. So this was a good one. On a $300,000 house, let's say you put in 30 grand of renovations and you do strategic renovations in 2 specific rooms that increase the value of the house, of course, are the kitchen and bath. People love the kitchen and bath. And how many people know it doesn't cost $40,000 to do a kitchen? You can do a kitchen for $5,000 or $6,000 and make it very nice. Is that not true, Manjeet? You don't even need to spend that to make a kitchen very nice. But there's this idea, oh, I'm doing a kitchen, I better have $40,000 set aside. You don't need to. No. So let's say you increase the value of the house to $375,000. Well, you just grew your net worth by $45,000. Did I pay tax on that $45,000? Where do I put that? I put it over here into my wealth machine, and I just keep turning it. I don't pay tax on it. I just put it in here, and I keep turning it. That's my wealth engine. That's my cash creator right there for the future. I don't touch that. I leave it away. I leave it alone. I'm not paying tax on it. It's growing my wealth. I feel good about it. I know I made a wise decision, and I'm being patient. So forced depreciation, everybody loves it. This house here, we paid Poopy Scoopy to come and help us out. They took away 2 5-gallon pails. Yeah, that was the best $150 I've ever spent in my life. It seriously was. You know, that falls in... All the flippers here, any real estate investor knows there's a not my job category, the kind of stuff that nobody does. And at the end of the day, you've got this checklist before a house is ready to go to market or whatever. It's like, who does this? Contractor's like, that's not my contract. I'm not, no. This is something that, somebody started a business called Poopy Scoopy or Scoopy Poopy or whatever it is, and I like them. I really do. This was a project we sold last year, did really well on it. This was a $4,500, I don't even think it was $4,500, this kitchen. Does it look okay? It was really neat. You know, we'd have the countertops. You wave your hand under the countertops and the under cabinet lighting goes on and everybody goes, ooh. It's $40. It wasn't a lot of money, but the ooh is worth way more than $40 to me. As soon as somebody says ooh, I'm like, ooh, you know? They like it. This is another example. It's not complicated, really. A little bit of paint, a little bit of flooring, and boom. You made something hugely different. We just got rid of all the dog and cat pee stained carpet and did some painting, put some nice floor in, and you're done. This was a kitchen. Again, we put some money into the kitchen and the bathroom. I don't think this was $4,000 for the two together. It was under 5, I think, for the two together. Probably 5. But increased the value way more than $5,000 of the house. I'm never going to sell this property. Never. I'm just going to keep it. And if I don't sell it, do I pay taxes on the capital gains? No. I just put that money right over here. And I just keep turning it. I just keep turning it. Number 3, the cash flow. This is the one people want. Show me the money, Nelson. Everybody loves the cash flow, right? That's what you keep at the end of the month after you rented out your building, your tenants pay you, you pay all your bills, and then whatever's left over is what you keep. You're the entrepreneur. You're at the top of the food chain. That's what you keep, right? Some months it's better, sometimes it's not as good. A hot water tank goes, who cares? 5-minute phone call, text message, please go replace it. I got one replaced yesterday. I don't even know what it looks like. I don't know who did it. I don't know how the details of it. It was a 5-minute interaction that I had, and I move on. I just get the bill for $1,200 or whatever it is, right? At the end of the day, it's done.